I know what you're thinking. You're like, again, there's more kits. Yeah, there's 2 more kits. But this time they're actually both build kits and they're both pretty interesting. This week, The Sims got the Riviera Retreat Kit, which is kind of an interesting pool pack. It's got a lot of patio furniture and some cool things like that. And we also got the Cozy Bistro Kit, which is more based around like a lounge, a coffee shop, a restaurant. And it's a lot of like vintage furniture items to make a fancy community lot. So these two don't exactly go together well, but I want to try and do a build using them. And today I want to focus mostly on this Riviera Retreat Kit because I feel like you could make a really nice house with this one. Yesterday I posted a video making a pretty fancy bistro, so I'll link that down below for you in case you want to go back and watch it. And in this video, I want to use just the base game and Riviera Retreat and see if we can make something good. I always feel like using just that pack is the best way to really put it to the test. It kind of forces you to think outside of the box, use items in ways they maybe weren't intended, and then we can kind of see if the pack is worth buying. Riviera Retreat has big Oasis Springs energy, so I think I'll build it here on this 30 by 20 lot. And I'm thinking about stuff kind of similar to this style-wise. I like the big white building. I like the shuttered windows. The tile roof is really pretty. We got a big fancy outdoor space. So that's kind of the vibes that I'm going for. This would probably work really well in Tartosa too if you've got the Wedding Stories pack. But unfortunately for us, we do not have the Wedding Stories pack. I kind of hate to say it, but honestly, I might use these big base game windows with the beige shutters. I can get a pretty front door in between them. Of course, it doesn't come in the same colors because that would just be too easy. I'm honestly kind of envisioning the exterior of this house to be quite simple. And you know, there's a lot less tile colors than I kind of thought there was. Now that I'm trying to use them, I'm like, oh, yikes. I don't really know about that. That's probably the best it's gonna be. Can I really bring myself to use that? I don't know. I just want a beige roof. Like, is that really too much to ask? I don't understand why there's not more brown in this game. I just want a beige roof. Like, is that really too much to ask? I don't understand why there's not more brown in this game. I'm gonna scoot the whole thing forward quite a bit too. We'll have a relatively simple little front porch, and the real exciting stuff is in the backyard. That's the reason we're all here. I'm kind of thinking with this backyard, I'd like for this to be a balcony. Oh, I don't know what kind of foundation to give it either. Oh my gosh, this whole thing is so hard to do with just the base game. You don't really realize it until you actually start it and you're like, oh, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing. I wonder if I should try and focus more on white windows, because if we did that, we could kind of let the roof shine a little more. If I had other packs, I would probably use vines and like wrap those around the building. Like, I'd be really going for it if I had more stuff to use. I got myself a nice little trim setup right here. I'm actually kind of wondering about, oh. Never mind. I was gonna say I was wondering about that fence, but that's not gonna happen. I might use this one instead. I don't think that's terrible. We can get some big windows there. I guess the door to the outside will probably go like right here. Actually, maybe a sliding glass door is better. I think that would be pretty. It's very small. The upstairs of this house is very small. If you hear any noises or see any movement behind me, my cat just showed up. I don't want to alarm you, but there is a cat in the room. I'm kind of thinking that some pretty French doors like these to the outside would be nice. I don't know if that looks the best, but it's better than nothing. I'd love to have something like that on the downstairs, but it doesn't really work with medium wall height. And then we should totally get a big fancy backyard and just like close it all in with a fence. The backyard's the main part of this whole house. So I'm trying to think about the pool, and I'm kind of imagining it being quite big. I might want to scoot everything forward more. We don't need a lot of front yard space. We need backyard space. That's the whole point of this kit. Maybe like one tile bigger. We have this beautiful pool trim that we absolutely have to use. We do have this tile. I don't know if the tile is really what I'm going for on the outside. I feel like for me on the outside, I'm kind of leaning more towards like a oh, no, not that stone. I was gonna say I'm leaning more towards some sort of stone. This one's not that bad. I'm trying to set up some spaces to add landscaping too in some areas like this where it fits. I think we'll definitely do the staircase over here. Okay, I'm kind of trying to figure out how exactly we can do this pool in a way that we can fit in the really fancy fountains, because I feel like that's a major highlight of this kit. So we have this large cascade fountain. It's so fancy. Maybe we could just have the whole back half of this this be like rocks and landscaping. Grotto, Cascade, Small. I guess if I mix and match those enough, we can kind of make it look intentional. We do have a new pool ladder, so I'll try and add that in. They don't show up in the rock category. They kind of failed to tag those correctly, so that's annoying. So there are rocks that came with the pack. They're just not tagged as being rocks for whatever reason. The Sims team is very confusing to me at times. I don't really always understand what they're going for when they do stuff like that, but it's okay. It's okay. We've got it figured out. I'm kind of curious if in this little section, if we could fit a couple things, because I think that having a little bit of this, like with the lavender, totally fits the vibes. And then I guess we just want to size up rocks, right? And like fill in this whole open space with them. How do people do stuff like this? What's the vision when you're making a pool fountain? Do you want to have like landscaping behind it? Oh, you probably do want to have landscaping behind it, huh? No, you don't. I'm not an expert. I'm no expert. I don't know how to fit that in with this right now. I'm gonna come back to that, I think I've decided. These are meant to be pool lights, not really wall sconces, but I'm gonna use them as wall sconces. Oh, weird. Okay, let's put some in the pool also as pool lights. I'm adding a couple of little chairs with this umbrella table, and then I'm gonna get myself a couple of chairs like this over here too. Oh, uh-oh. Did I kind of placed them weird? Get a drink tray. This has vacation home energy to me. Maybe the fire pit could go up here. The only problem is that with the fire pit, we don't have like a couch from this pack to go along with it. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should have done the lounge chairs like that on like either side of this pretty thing. Because you got to admit that's pretty cool. I think that looks beautiful. I would have loved if we had some sort of landscaping back behind them as well. I don't really know if that's gonna work, but I don't know. Do the bushes fit? Like, how does it look if you add some stuff in like this? I honestly can't tell. I'm scared that it's too much. I will get us a little towel cart over here because that matches and it's very useful. Maybe I'll put the pool ladder right in the middle of everything. Or should I scoot it over to the side just for like a reason to have more stuff over there? I'll get one floaty lounge chair. Just kind of minding its business in the water. And then I'm trying to figure out where to put this because I want this so bad. To me, this is like urgent. It must be included. I just don't know how or where. I think we have to put some pretty bushes back behind it all. And I guess that could go kind of centered with the pool. I was kind of envisioning a world where it was like slightly fenced off as well. Because I have this idea in my head of like sort of a little bit of terrain paint underneath it, central to it all. And then like a kind of windy path that takes you over to it. I know that probably swirls around unnecessarily, but that's kind of what I was imagining. And then I kind of have this image in my head of plants basically completely surrounding all this. Obviously, once we have this all figured out, it'll be easier to do the path. I'm kind of just trying to mark it out so I can show you what I mean. And then maybe there could be like a garden with some garden pots in this back corner. I don't know. This will be like a place to sit under there. I'm getting some trees kind of around the corners too. And now I must go through and add my landscaping. I'm gonna do mostly these pretty lavender bushes. I actually very rarely use these, so I'm kind of excited about an excuse to put them around a little bit more. I don't want it to be only these lavender bushes though. I'm just kind of starting to layer stuff slowly, so I'm starting with those. Now I'm putting in some of these plain bushes, kind of just peppered around. I feel like we need to have a fountain or something. This one's just not really the same style as the rest of the stuff or the other fountain, but it feels too good to not use. Like it looks so pretty in our little garden. I was actually gonna try to mix in other types of flowers, but there's something about this purple everywhere that feels right. I'm getting a couple little lights to put in. I think I'm gonna do a chess table in the middle of this all. This is like an outdoor one. Maybe I will use it with white in there because the blue kind of doesn't really work with what we've got going on in this space. And then I just put a bunch of planter boxes around because like I was explaining earlier, the vision of this is kind of like pretty garden vibes. I may honestly want to have some bushes back here because I could put a tree. I'm just gonna quickly see how it would look if we did have a whole bunch of landscaping over here. I feel like the vibes of that when you're in the yard are better. I think that that's worth doing. Maybe I will put a couple of these floating together. I don't really know how to do that in the pool without it looking bad. Feeling extremely tempted to put 2 additional lounge chairs over there. I know it might be weird, but hear me out for a second. I feel like it's nice to have as many lounge chairs as possible in this because we're kind of trying to pretend that it's a retreat that you can come on vacation to. It's a party house. Like people come here from near and far, whatever that means. In hindsight though, maybe these are bad. Okay, this is kind of how I'm envisioning this little area now. I did put the fire pit next to the pool, and then I'm gonna put a little bush back behind these chairs. They'll be able to walk around it just fine, and it's kind of like in a semicircle shape, just a little bit, which I think is good. I'm trying to mix some purple, light blue, and white flowers, just so we can have a little bit more landscaping, but I put them in little pots. So I think that looks good around the corner. And this is kind of what the backyard is looking like so far. This is a lot. Uh-oh. Oh no, you're clipping. I'm gonna cover it with bushes. It's definitely a lot. I just made it worse too, but I think it's really cool. I'm putting some terrain paint down. I might regret this because I always tell myself to do terrain paint last. That's like my #1 pro tip, because you know how the game tries to delete itself, but I want to see this finish because I like how it looks so much. So that's kind of the vibes of the little secret garden that we have back there. Maybe I should put 2 lounge chairs. I don't know. I've gone back and forth so much. I don't know how to do them. I really don't know what to do with the lounge chairs. They're just supposed to float. So like, how do you make it look natural? I gotta stop. There's no point worrying, Kayla. Just stop. I shall now try to upgrade the front yard to look less ugly, because right now the front yard looks like nothing, and that is no fun for anybody. I might get another one of those fountains too. I made this landscaping very similar to how the back looks, and I kind of like it. I feel like that's really cool. The only thing that I haven't really used from this kit is the new stepping stones, and I know I probably should have, and it's a shame because I was actually really excited about these. I guess I just sort of feel like in practice, they don't really look like how I had envisioned they would or how I had hoped they would. I've actually never really tried to do this trick where you like layer 2 different stones before. I'm actually now kind of curious about using it. Maybe I changed my own mind by saying that, because that's interesting and it looks cool from high up, and then it gives us an excuse to use more of it, which is also fun. You know what? I'm gonna keep it. I think I like it. This might actually be good too to have like some stepping stones outside where the trash can goes. Oh my gosh, I love the backyard on this house. This turned out way better than I had hoped it could have. We'll have to put something up top. I'm not really sure what. Maybe a couple little skill building type activities like a telescope. I honestly wouldn't be mad about an extra table because I really like the umbrella. If we had other packs, I might put yoga or something up here too, but we're playing with just the base game and the kit, so we don't really have access to those things. I'm gonna try and work on the inside real quick because I spent so long doing the exterior and we have a completely empty inside of the house. I may also save my game, just to be safe. I'm kind of feeling like the vision here is a lot of white accents on the inside of the house because that's kind of how the outside looks. Okay, I have a kind of weird idea for this downstairs space. I'm kind of picturing right now that this room might become sort of like a library. I'm thinking that the kitchen will go in here. We have space for a really small bathroom downstairs, kind of tucked away right there. This will be the living room facing a fireplace that goes right in front of the chimney. And then we can fit kind of a big dining room here along that space. I don't love the kitchen being right by the front door, but it could be worse. That does give us space for a little breakfast nook kind of thing too, sort of tucked away right there. Unless we wanted to swap it and have the formal dining room be in this space. It might actually be nicer and like a little bit fancier seeming to have the kitchen back here. I could maybe even make myself a kind of cringe little square island, which maybe would be cute. I don't know. Okay, admittedly, these cabinets look terrible with this wallpaper. We can't have the double tile. It's just not gonna happen. We could probably use these cabinets and maybe I could get a circle island, which is still cool. I mean, look at that. This is a way nicer kitchen than I expected to be able to have. I'm really pleasantly surprised with that. I'm gonna come back to the other color schemes. I don't really know if that floor tile lends itself well to being used with the bathroom tile. I know they're supposed to go together, but there's something about it that just feels a little bit too busy to me with them both, so I might just use one. I could probably get away with just one door up there too. It's probably better for the upstairs layout anyway. Oh no, the upstairs is so small that I don't really know how to fit a fancy ensuite into it. We may end up having to just do 2 bedrooms and there's no ensuite bathroom. So it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I might actually even use these really fancy doors because those are kind of cool. We are also losing a little bit of space, but I'm not that worried about it. I don't care about this little void. It could become a closet or something, but I've been using the double doors and I just want to use the same door everywhere. I made sure to have a shower in this downstairs bathroom because we just have the 1 bathroom upstairs. I forgot that we have these absolutely beautiful little curtains. Listen, I know that that probably does not make the most sense, okay? I can acknowledge that it's probably better to have a bigger set of curtains in a bathroom when it's like this wide open. However, I love the new curtains and I really want to use them. So even though it is possibly slightly impractical, I'm gonna do it anyway. Thankfully, your Sims do not get embarrassed and nobody can look in windows, so no one's gonna see them taking a bath right in the front of the house, right in that giant window. I mean, that's just bad. That's so bad. In real life, that would be a disaster, but it's just The Sims, so it's fine. In this upstairs hallway, I'm gonna put a little clock right here. In my mind, that's where you would put the thermostat if you had seasons. But we're not playing with seasons right now, so I don't have one. So I mentioned that I thought this would make for a nice office space. I did not really consider how tight it was. These people have like the fanciest yard ever, and then honestly, an absolutely tiny interior of their house. Oh, I meant to use this pot from Riviera Retreat outside. I forgot to put that out here. That was always supposed to go right here, sorry. I might even get myself another one of those upstairs because that's so good. We've used everything from the kit now except for these curtains, so I'm kind of thinking about trying to put them on that window. They just don't really fit on the other windows. It looks kind of weird. I don't know. I should have put bigger, wider windows. I just feel like they don't work at all in this house, so maybe I shouldn't bother. Do we instead use these tiny curtains for no reason? So I'm kind of learning as I do this that this pack is really not well suited if you only have the base game and you want to like furnish a house. If you like to decorate exteriors, it's great, but there's no furniture that works inside. Certainly not for a fancy house like this one. You might be able to use the patio chairs as interior chairs if you wanted to. I just don't think that would really work in this house, but it might be okay in a different house if you like really tried to make it work. That's common with kits though. I feel like they're not usually the best standalone thing. They usually tie in better with other stuff. This is what I'm thinking for the whole upstairs. I don't really know if I'll add much else. We gotta figure out the rest of the interior because I have not properly decorated the kitchen yet. I got a little bit carried away and I moved upstairs way too fast. A little bit of clutter is gonna go a long way with this kitchen. I'll put the trash can in the corner and maybe a little plant next to it. I'm feeling like the kitchen kind of matches this color rug pretty well, so I'll try that. I'm also gonna put a TV above the fireplace. I know that that's not like everybody's favorite thing. I realize that is kind of controversial, but I think it would be nice for us to have. In my mind, it's just not ideal to have it above the fireplace, but it's better than having no TV at all. People feel quite strongly about the TV being up too high when it gets put on top of a fireplace, so I think that's why they talk about it. But I personally feel like it's fine. I don't think your Sims are gonna mind either. Oh my gosh, that's really tight, that front entryway, but it's okay. I'm obsessed with this painting, so I wanna put this above the couch. It can go in gold. I actually kind of love this layout. Now it's just the dining room that needs fixing. I'm gonna use these same big curtains. These are just base game curtains, but sized up. So they're kind of like clipping into the floor, but that's not the worst thing. That's not the worst problem to have. What happens if I put two of these together? Is it okay? I think that's okay. I'm actually quite curious about what would happen if we had like one of these big things to play music, but I don't know. Maybe instead we could put a little table in the corner and then have like this small item, because that's more reasonable, and then you can have music in the dining room. I feel like the base game is severely lacking in terms of ceiling lights and like pretty chandelier type stuff, but I'll get a couple of them. And then honestly, that might be the house done. I don't really know what else we could put. Maybe, oh, you know what? Let's get a bonsai tree because that's like another skill item for you to work on, and that kind of fits in that corner. But in total, we've got a small little entryway. You walk in through this door. To the left, we have a nice big living room space, a huge kitchen, which I think is my favorite part. We've got a nice big formal dining room, a little hallway that takes you to a bathroom and an office. And then upstairs, we have a little hallway, a primary bedroom, another bathroom, and then a big kid's bedroom. There's also a balcony off of the primary bedroom. And then in the backyard, we have a grill, a pretty dining table. There's a couple lounge chairs and a fire pit, a huge pool. There's like a secret garden. And this is the finished product. So I think I shall stick this on the gallery. Wait, now it's the finished product. Extra chimney thing goes a long way. I'm gonna call it the Riviera Retreat House so it's easy to find. And it is officially uploaded in case you were looking for it. If you want to see my full review of the kit, I'll link it down below for you. I kind of just went through all the items and gave my general thoughts, but having played with this, I really like it. I think that it's really fun. I like the wallpaper a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I had so much fun doing the outside of this house, but really it's just meant for the outside. You know, there's not a lot that can be used on the interior. There are some cool things though, like the waterfall and this pergola. Oh my God, it looks amazing. It looks like I used debug on this. And I didn't, so that's a win. No! Oh my God, there's a missing wallpaper on the gallery upload. Oh, please don't judge me for that. I'm so sorry. And with that, I'm gonna end this video right here. Thank you for watching. Have the best rest of your day, and I'm gonna catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. I hate when I mess up a wallpaper and I don't notice until way too late. It's so embarrassing. I even checked. I looked around and checked, and I still missed it.